Diablo 4 needs a big announcement. The content's drying up a little bit for people, and even myself have been streaming other games. I'm live now checking out the competition for Diablo 4, so if you want to see what the other ARPGs look like, you can find me, and I'll have that link down below in the pinned comment as well as description. But we did just receive a fairly large announcement about the history and future of Diablo series, so let's go ahead and get into that. We'll be adding annual expansions to Diablo 4. Now, on this announcement, this actually gave me mixed feelings, which I want to explain to you now. So first, let's explain what's going on. This is an interview by Dextero. If you want to read the full thing, as usual, I will have my sources linked down below. Now, Diablo 4 GM confirms annual expansions for the game. Now, if you are not familiar what an expansion exactly is to the Diablo franchise, this would be like Lord of Destruction for Diablo 2 or Reaper of So for Diablo 3. Effectively, these are purchasable portions of new content, which very often mean they are mandatory if you wish to play a live service game at the peak with everybody else. You pretty much always buy these expansions. For instance, when World of Warcraft was constantly launching expansions, there were some people that didn't buy Lich King that stayed in Burning Crusade, but not very many. Like the people that are actually playing the game, they're all going to buy these expansions. This does sort of make sense because, as we know, in the campaign, it leaves at sort of a cliffhanger. Yes, we kill Lilith, but no, we do not have all of the big bads out of the way. So, what exactly did they say for annual expansions? Well, take a look here. This is Rod Ferguson, an answer to the question about asking what exactly the future of Diablo 4 looks like. He says, but you know, it's years and years. That's the thing we're focused on. When you look at the launch of the game in this first season, we see that building a foundation on which can build for the future. So as we look at our quarterly seasons and we look at our annual expansions, those are things we're really focused on for our live service. We've got plans. We have storylines that go well into the future. We've got plans. We're always leapfrogging our seasons and leapfrogging our expansions. So it's something we are going to do for a long time. We're excited. He continues with, when you look back and realize that there were 11 years between Diablo 3 and Diablo 4, that feels like we didn't live up to our players, our community, and what they deserve. That's something we are rectifying in Diablo 4 with our seasons and our expansions. Effectively, what they want is a slow bleed-in of content so that there will always be a next expansion, a next season, a new update. They don't want you to feel like the updates are 11 years in between, which is fair enough. Now, I have somewhat mixed opinions on this, admittedly. First of all, I like to hear new content is coming to the game. That is always going to be something I am going to enjoy, considering my firm opinion right now is there is not currently enough content in the game for me to want to log in every single day, and I am playing Path of Exile. I've been very clear about this. So for me, when they announce that, yes, there will be new expansions, I think, great, that means there will be new content. But a part of me also thinks that, hey, this new content that we should be adding to the game should be fixing the original game. The focus should be right now on actually adding into the content that me and the other consumers have already spent our money on purchasing. And while expansions will be great to add content into the game, I do not feel like I want to spend additional money to add content into a game that I feel like is already incomplete. Essentially what I'm saying is I hope the solution to the lack of in-game in Diablo 4 is not by selling us another expansion to the game. To be fair to Rod, that is not what he said is happening. He says they are looking at quarterly seasons. This was the first thing he mentioned, which are every 3 months. And we look at our annual expansions. So he does mention both of them in tandem. I also prefer transparency and honesty with what it is they're working on in games like these. So when they come out and say, yes, we're going to be doing an expansion every year, I see that as a form of communication. So I prefer them telling us that instead of just selling us expansions every single year. I am also not opposed to the concept of purchasing expansions. As long as the original base game has enough value in it and the additional expansion adds enough that it justifies the price of a new expansion, I will purchase expansions in games. I don't feel like I was ever ripped off paying for expansions in World of Warcraft, for instance, as that is a live service game that I enjoyed very much. It also had a subscription fee within the game. So when I bought Burning Crusade, when I bought Lich King, when I bought, well, let's admit Cataclysm, not as much, but when I bought the expansions, I wasn't necessarily disappointed with what they had to offer, but they had major storylines, they had major raids, new items, level cap increases, etc. So if I'm going to purchase additional expansions within the Diablo 4 universe, I'm expecting the same level of delivery. I would also hope the manpower is currently focused on the seasons. The first seasons were lackluster, meaning that going into season 2, it needs to be better than season 1. And season 3 would need to be better than season 2. We have a long ways to go to have a fully developed competitive game within the ARPG space. For that reason, I'm hoping the focus is on fleshing out this game. I know they have a bajillion employees, so they can probably do both at the same time. It would make sense. But I would like to see the original core game be fully fleshed out before I spend more money purchasing an expansion for a game. An interesting point of data here from a GameSpot article says that Diablo 3's expansion, Reaper of the Souls, sold 2.7 million units, which at the time Diablo 3 had sold 15 million units. So it was a 1-to-5 conversion ratio. Considering that Diablo 4 was the highest selling Blizzard product of all time, if they sell another 20% of those consumers an additional X-Pack, it would make sense as to why they are focusing on creating them annually. I'm not opposed to them continuing to sell products to a live service game. I am of the opinion that if a game is good, I will give it enormous amounts of my money. The name is Darth Microtransaction. In Path of Exile, I have only played the game a month, and I am $600 into that game. Why? Because I believe it deserves the support. It is a good game that I am enjoying immensely, and it also continues to get better. So I don't feel worse with my purchase as time goes on. I feel better with my purchase as time goes on. I am willing to give Diablo 4 the same level of consideration. If these expansions continue to come out and they are big deliveries every year of big chunks of new main story. The campaign was quite good in Diablo. I do think I got my money's worth from playing the campaign. If the campaign story with good cutscenes and everything is the same, I will be willing to give it some more money into the game. I will be. I'm probably not going to buy the Battle Pass. I'm not buying the Battle Pass every season right now. I don't think the cosmetics alone are going to be worth it, but the Battle Pass isn't mandatory, and there's no subscription fee within the game. So I am willing to give it some additional money. However, I say however, my concern is that the solutions to the complaints right now within Diablo need to be hounded down and figured out in the game that people have originally already purchased. We should not sell the solution to an incomplete product by selling the more complete product. That is one man's opinion. So if they would like to get someone like me to purchase the expansion, show delivery of an otherwise good original product that I purchased and make me satisfied with the original product within your next few seasons, and then sell me the addition to that product in which the original product I am satisfied with. As it currently stands, I think a lot of people are not satisfied with the original product, so selling an expansion early, in my opinion, before we wrap up and finish the original product would be a mistake. However, they say annual expansions. They didn't say the next expansion is coming right now. Annual would be at a minimum of another 8 months from now. In 8 months, we could have a pretty solid banger of a game if they grind out and fix all of the complaints that we've been seeing, add new itemization. We know new bosses are coming in season 2, etc. So in 8 months, when the next expansion maybe will come out, which will be a year at that point, we can look back and see, is the original product created one that I feel satisfied with my purchase, and do I believe they are deserving of additional purchases? If that is the case at the time, then you will see me purchasing the expansion. That was my mixed feelings upon seeing the announcement that we saw about this annual expansion here. And I don't think it's that big of a deal that they're coming out with expansions. I know there was some pushback by some people that the game's not finished and they're already announcing expansions. They said annual, so we're talking 8 months, which means by then they should have 4 seasons completed. And if they can't get the game fixed in 4 seasons, you know what to do about buying the expansion. That is just one man's opinion. Love you all. See you on the next video. I will be live now, and that will be pinned in the comment as well as the description.